Megumi has finally been released to the public, and I think it's time to review him to see if he's worth the wait. There are 3 categories I look for in a character: gameplay, how the character plays; kill potential, how easy it is for the character to get kills; and creativity, how fun is the character to use. Let's talk about the first category, gameplay. To start off, Megumi is a zoner type character that relies on him keeping his distance and wearing the opponent down by summoning his Shikigami to fight for him. His first move is Rabbit Escape, an aimable move that summons a horde of rabbits to swarm opponents. The rabbits can be blocked before and during the move, so when you use it, it is best to hit behind the enemy or use your next move to pivot off a Rabbit Escape. The next move in question is Nue. You summon a bird that flies towards whoever you aim at, that guard breaks and flings whoever is hit towards the direction that Nue flies. Nue has a variant in which you grab his leg and fly where your camera is aimed. This move is good for either ragdolls and following with another move, or using it to escape unfavorable situations. Megumi's third move is Toad, which summons a Toad Shikigami that after a short windup will grab a person as long as they're not blocking. This is your combo extender and should only be used after Nue or after an up tilt or down slam. Toad has a variation where by pressing both 3 and 2 together, you will summon the Well's Unknown Abyss. This does the same thing as your regular attack, but instead will throw the enemy in the air. The only reason this move should be used is for a guarantee hit with Nue and maybe some damage with rabbits if you're quick enough. His base is ended with Divine Dog Totality, which when used summons Totality that follows you around and will attack people if you use the move again. You can attack up to 3 times but is blockable and can only be cancelled if you're ragdolled. Totality is your most damaging move and is good for mix-ups and catching opponents off guard if they miss a move or are in the process of using one. And finally, 10 Shadows has a special move where the user hides in the shadows and moves around. During this, you are faster and can even put objects in your shadow if you hold one before pressing R. You'll mainly play Megumi by setting up Totality first to punish mistakes or keep people in place while trying to fish for damage, by using Nue into Toad for a free combo if Nue lands. Rabbit Escape should only be used if you're going to use Nue after it or if you are semi-close range, as it doesn't last that long and you'll need to be quick enough to hit players from behind when they attempt to block. Moving on to his ults, a passive that he has allows you to press G again to switch back to his base at the cost of some of the Awakening Bar. His first move, Max Elephant, has the user summon a gigantic elephant to crush the person it's aimed at for high damage. This is your highest damaging move in ult and is best used on someone who's ragdolled, as it's easily dodged if the opponent is actively moving. Next, Great Serpent is a more mediocre move where the user jumps up and summons a giant snake that is aimable and poisons anyone caught in its jaws. By itself, the move isn't good, but can be used to combo into all your other moves thanks to the ragdoll it provides. Your third move is Shadow Swarm, which has you summon 2 shadow clones that jump whoever comes into contact with the move, ending with you hitting them away with a bat, dealing decent damage and ragdolling. It's a great move that confirms into both Great Serpent and Max Elephant as long as they don't have their evasives up. This move also has a variant where if you use it on someone's domain, you'll use Chimera Shadow Garden and invade it. Honestly, this variant sucks, and really is only good if you want to invade a Hikari's domain or are trying to save someone. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but if the domain user exits their domain because of Shadow Garden, then the domain ends almost immediately. So there's also that. But realistically, no one is going to willingly leave their domain, so this move is pretty much useless. Personally, what I think they should have done with Megumi's domain is bind it to the R key and keep the original concept of using it in an enclosed space to set up the domain and trap people inside of it. Finally, the fourth and most used move in Megumi's ult is Mahoraga. This move requires a second person to be part of the ritual. Once started, the user will attempt to summon Mahoraga, and during this time, if no one stops the user during the first 2 chants, then Daddy Raga will be fully summoned. Since I consider Mahoraga a separate character, I will talk about him after I'm done with Megumi. And speaking of Megumi, let's talk about his kill potential and why it's bad. To address the elephant in the room, or I guess the rabbits, the frog, the bird, and the dog, Megumi's base and ult only have 3 damaging moves. Not only does Rabbit Escape barely do any damage, it has also been nerfed to be shorter and can be fully cancelled if you're hit even once while it's active. And this means that if you use this move by itself, you're going to have to predict where your opponent will face in the 2 seconds this move is up. And if you're unable to do that or are too slow, then you'll most likely be punished for going in too close. Nue being your only guard break makes it essential in your set, but it will never hit unless you ragdoll or keep someone in place with rabbits or totality, so you're gonna have to sacrifice one move to land the other. And in a fast-paced game like Jujutsu Shenanigans, where you'll usually get jumped, wasting a move will lower your damage output and put you at a disadvantage overall. Toad is decent, but it's not good by itself. The only way you'll land it in a fight is if by hitting an up tilt or down slamming into it, but that's rare since Megumis don't know how to M1, which means that the average person playing Megumi will have to use Nue first, but as I said previously about Nue, you'll have to use Rapid Escape to keep your opponent still. This means you'll have to use 3 moves for one combo extender, and only one of those moves will realistically do any damage. Totality is the only redeeming quality of Megumi's base. It can be used to suppress people by throwing out attacks periodically to keep them blocked, which can lead into an M1 combo if you know what you're doing. This makes it immediately better than Rapid Escape, and it can also be used after Nue to combo all 3 hits and deal more damage than using Toad and then M1ing. It can be used to punish whiffed attacks or long windup attacks like Red or Body Repel, and with a drawback of only being cancelled when you're ragdolled, Totality is your only saving grace in Megumi's base. His awakening saves him slightly. Max Elephant needs someone to be ragdolled for the best chance of landing it, which can be easily done by hitting either Shadow Swarm or Great Serpent. Great Serpent is a nice setup move leading into every other move in his ult, including Mahoraga. It isn't hard to land and is really good for overall mobility. Shadow Swarm is alright, dealing decent damage while having a long travel time to land it before the move ends. It also leads into Serpent and Elephant, which means you can use any of the 3 moves in any order besides Max Elephant first and hit them all consecutively. I can't say the same for Shadow Garden, however, where there's only one domain that's actually worth invading, and even after invading it, you'll be down to about 3/4 of your HP thanks to it draining health during use. Overall, even though Megumi has access to 8 moves in ult, his kill potential is still fodder compared to every other character in the game. Your best case scenario during ult is to summon Mahoraga and start boss raiding for kills. Lastly, his creativity. Out of every character in Jujutsu Shenanigans, Megumi is the most creative in my opinion. What he lacks in power, he makes up for in fun. It's fun to randomly interrupt 1v1s by using Toad and sniping people with Totality or Nue. You can use Nue to invade domains, and emoting with Totality makes him do a little dance, and that's pretty funny. If you treat Megumi like a support character, then that's where he really shines. If you see someone beating up your friend, you can just use Toad or Totality to bail them out. You see your friend comboing? Use Rabbits to continue it for them or Nue to finish it. See them running from their inevitable beatdown? Then bring them right back with Toad or keep them still with Rabbits. If you're ever jumping, you can do the most absurd combos with them. Say for instance, your teammate is using Yuji, then a combo you can do is Rapid Escape, Black Flash, Toad, Curse Strikes, Cursing Blows, and Nue. If your opponent isn't dead, then their pride surely is. He's also one of a kind as no other character uses summons to fight, or a move that stays up even after the first use, or even a move that gives access to an entirely new character with their own moveset. Overall, Megumi is a unique character that fits the role of a zoner nicely. He is weighed down by his low damage output compared to others. You should expect fights with him to take longer than normal thanks to all of his moves relying on ragdoll and having to give up one move to hit another. His best use is as a support character and as a catalyst to summon Big Raga, and should mostly be played to have fun rather than gaining kills. So, to rate him, I give him a 3 out of 5 for gameplay, a 1 out of 5 for kill potential, and a 4 out of 5 for creativity. Which brings us back to the question. Was Megumi worth the wait? Kinda. Megumi himself isn't worth it, but Big Raga is, and I think it's time to talk about him. With this treasure I summon 8-handled sword, Divergent Sela Divine General, Mahoraga. I'll be dying first. Mahoraga plays as a rushdown character, having to constantly attack players to maintain their bar, which if it runs out, the Mahoraga dies. You'll want to be extremely aggressive as Mahoraga, and your moves help with this, as all of them are guard breaks. His first move is Divine Pummel, a close range grab move that slams players before throwing them. This move is mainly used as a combo ender and a setup for his 3 other moves. His second move, Ground Pitch, has the user pick up the ground and throw it at the opponent. This move is best used mid-range and is good for catching runners. You can also use it to pick up players, but this by itself is unfavorable as it will distance the enemy and leads to you having to chase your opponent if they decide to run. But paired with Mahoraga's fourth move, it more than makes up for that possibility. Moving on to his third move, Earthquake is a close range move that hits the ground and ragdolls anyone caught in the range, dealing good damage. This move has a second part where if the user releases the button when both squares match each other, this will cause a second shockwave, which deals more damage and hits in a larger radius. It's good against teamers and works really well if used after Divine Pummel. And finally, his fourth move, or at least the fourth move for his attack wheel, is Takedown. Takedown is a move where after a short windup, Mahoraga will teleport to your opponent and land a heavy blow that knocks him away. It has a good range and is useful for catching runners, but compared to another move Mahoraga can do, it isn't really a good option. Mahoraga has a special mechanic where by pressing the G key, Mahoraga will cycle through 3 wheels, and pressing R will turn the wheel into the one you selected. The attack wheel, which we just discussed, is the default wheel that Mahoraga uses when we first summon him. The defense wheel, which is the second one, changes your M1s into a counterattack, which knocks anyone in range back and will deflect projectiles. If you block before M1ing, however, you will instead do a parry, which doesn't knock back the opponent but still nullifies any damage you take. The defense wheel changes your fourth move into Adaptation, a counter in which, if it lands, will adapt to any and all phenomenon, starting at having the player take 10% less damage all the way to 70%. But keep in mind that if you adapt to one type of attack and attempt to adapt to another, you will have to start the adaptation over again. This move is a hit or miss. You'll have to land it 4 times for it to make a noticeable difference, which means that it'll take 80 seconds for you to fully adapt to a type of attack. Not only are you going to have to predict your opponent using the same attack type 4 times in a row, but if you counter too early, then you're unable to adapt for another 20 seconds. Add that onto the fact that if you're hit with another attack type and having to start over, then you have to see why you're better off using that third and final wheel move Mahoraga has to offer. Mahoraga's third and final wheel is his special wheel, which gives access to his strongest move, that being World Slash. Mahoraga takes a stance and lets out a slash, cutting through even the world itself, while dealing nearly half a player's HP. Not only does this move deal incredible damage, but it also has incredible range while being able to hit multiple people. The only drawback this move has is its long cast time, but this can be easily circumvented if you grab someone with grab pitch first and use a World Slash right after, which results in a true combo if the opponent doesn't have their evasive move. Each wheel move has their own strengths and weaknesses, but it's obvious that for a move that puts the other two on cooldown when used, World Slash beats both of them and should be the move you mainly use to mow down teamers. Mahoraga's kill potential is great. He has the most HP out of every character and deals the most M1 damage, while also having the biggest range. Add on top of that his guard breaking M1s and you have a fearsome close range character. However, this works as a double-edged sword, as since Mahoraga has a bigger hitbox, he'll get hit more often, and his M1s are slower than average, so against an experienced player, you're more likely to lose M1 trades. This doesn't stop Mahoraga from being an absolute boss raid, however, as his moves more than make up for his slowness, either by allowing him to catch runners, deal with teamers with his AoE attacks, or deflecting and adapting to everything thrown at him. If you use Mahoraga, expect a good amount of kills. And finally, for Mahoraga's creativity. Having him be an entirely new character that's unlocked by using a separate character's move, Big Raga is an exceptional character off the bat. He also has the ability to passively reduce damage taken to him, swap between 2 playstyles and 3 moves on a dime, and destroy any terrain with all of his M1s. In combat, being able to grab and smash anyone in your way really makes it feel rewarding to get after summoning him with Bum Gimme. He also has a one-shot combo, that being Pummel into an Earthquake, into Ground Pitch, and ending with World Slash. Now, using any of these moves by themselves is fun, as each move feels impactful and really makes you feel like a school threat, but landing that combo using all of them is what makes Mahoraga so good. No matter how many people there are, Big Raga will always turn them into a fine red mist. Mahoraga is a great character that is easy to play and enjoy at the same time if you enjoy being aggressive. He is versatile at any range and in any situation because of his high damage output thanks to his M1s, Earthquake and World Slash, and the ability to adapt to attacks and nullify them entirely. With 6 moves in his arsenal and the highest HP in the game, he is fun to use against teamers and just the entire server in general. I can safely say that he can be used for fun and for kills at the same time. So for his ratings, I give him a 4 out of 5 for gameplay, a 5 out of 5 for kill potential, and a 5 out of 5 for creativity. Was Mahoraga worth the wait and is 10 times better than Megumi? Yes, 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 1,000 times yes. And I highly recommend you use this character whenever you get a chance. Thank you all so much for listening to me yap. If you agree or disagree with anything I said in the video, then please feel free to comment about it. If you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe, or Big Raga will come and give you divine backshots. This has been Super Derplux, and peace.